I think we're recording now.
Okie
So
dokie.
I'm going to have to be careful and not accidentally just show the world everything. My device is struggling to record. Okay, it's because I've got too many tabs open.
Really? Again?
That's what it's just told me. Not very helpful. Okay. Well, that was all quite emotional trying to get this recording up. But even if we do it through this way, then yeah, it's not as good. But at least we can share screens. I wonder, can you share your screen at the same time?
No, only one at a time.
Oh, damn it. Okay. I'll forget that then. Okay, so business of the day, finally. What do you have?
I have some. I reviewed part of our call yesterday and have some pickups to add. Primarily that the notion of impact was nowhere to be found.
Okay.
I had a couple of mentioned items in WhatsApp, which were implicit memory, something about just more trying to hit on where we're missing or making assumptions. A way to deal with definitions where you might be able to get the commander to replace a particular word with the definition that we've stated it means and see if it still makes sense to detect information drift or definition drift.
Yep.
And that's it, really. I felt like you put in some really solid intellectual input in the conversation yesterday, and I was interested to hear more about it, actually. So it's largely up to you what we do today. I also have plenty other stuff I can carry on with. I'm okay if this is a short call. It's
Okay.
entirely up to you.
I'm still in flight from that last call because it was quite information rich. The my last commit has updated all of the definitions, or this was what was sent you just before. Let me find the right tab. And I really do need a better tab management system. Oh no, that was the final thing. This really quick and dirty Overwatch was quite interesting. I think I'm on the wrong window. Okay, so rather than go through the changes, because you can see those for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
According to the O1 Pro, I've been calling it Commander, but I need to be tighter on that. I'm not actually prompting it with any of the Commander prompts. I'm just going bareback on O1 Pro for this stuff, and it seems to be doing pretty well. I'm using Concat to give it context. And using that and our conversation yesterday, it has updated a number of the innovation definitions. Interestingly enough, it's noticed that we didn't have a definition for an impact crystal, and so it's created one.
Oh, that's cool.
And there are a number of other ones which I'll not go through.
That's not true. Well, that's not true. There was Impact Crystal. I spent bloody ages writing that one.
Let me find where I've been pulling from. Tabs. Pause.
I think if you're silent, it'll just get stripped out naturally.
Yes, of course, because it's not going to be able to fill it with anything. And so the transcript won't include pauses. Here we go.
Impact Crystal is in there, or was in there.
I might have misspoken, but it's generated some new definitions, which I'm just scrolling up to get to. God, if I just had a way to scroll up to a certain part of the page, it'd be so much easier.
I know, eh?
Spend so much
more
time.
Oh dear. Scrolly.
This is a big one. Okay. Right. My prompt was okay. So yesterday's transcript. My prompt was create in full. Oh, sorry, that's not the first one.
Oh, the journey continues.
I've got to go further up. You can see why these take 10 minutes each. There's a lot of stuff to consider.
Do you reckon it's any worse because of the size?
No, I think it's because it's weaved together and it's trying to. The end result comes out absolutely balzer, but it needs to weave together because we have such a strong logic structure. It's almost like it feels necessary on its own side to keep its own reputation up by understanding it all. So it says, all right, boss, can you just give it a second? Okay, so there's the transcript and there's the topics. That's all fine. Now I want to zoom in on ambient attribution. So would it be helpful for me to take you through this process where I updated these definitions or not?
I think that's entirely up to you. The last call showed me that actually, if I shut up and wait, you do get to a point, and the point is valuable, and I should pay attention more.
Okay, cool. So I knew because I'd just come off the call that the main topic. So I give a whole bunch of topics. Talked about Riverside, legal versus crypto, and that sort of thing. We were talking about those things, but it didn't have an idea about how it was important for me to understand and to get it to help me on.
Right.
And so I asked it to concentrate only on ambient attribution. And so it goes, okay, so, right. Core goal, yeah. Dynamic weighting is picked up. Governance and versioning, okay, that's good. So then I give the transcript and summary. So I'll give it this is a concat of innovation. The innovation diagram, the innovation folder. Right, okay, right. So now we're getting somewhere. New definitions, because I asked it to consider the transcript and the innovation definitions and tell me which definitions are missing and which definitions need to be updated. So it's said, okay, attribution governance, publication source, it's a new concept, fine, dimensional weighting, multi-dimensional mechanism, that's fine. It suggested that these are now lagging behind in the thinking, ambient attribution, which right? Attribution algorithms, right? And then impact crystals. This is, so I misspoke earlier on. It's not that it didn't exist before.
Okay, yep, cool.
It's impact crystals has now been updated in our thinking.
Okay.
Now the definitions need to be deleted. Okay, that's fine. So then create and fill the new definition attribution governance. I find it useful to do that first before asking it then to do a list, because it churns on this and is slightly faster if you then get a list of things to do in exactly the same way. So that's
hey, where is impact crystal in the actual ambient attribution algorithm?
Well, that's a good question. Let's find out. Multi-bound. There might be, this would be a graph, so it'll probably go through dimensional weighting, I'd imagine. If we go to dimensional weighting, that links to impact crystal.
No, yeah, I was more meaning the concept of impact was not mentioned in the slightest during our call yesterday.
Okay. Let me get through this, and then this is a live thread, so we can ask it. So then it gave me updated dimensional weighting. These are new ones, so those are the ones that are created. Publication source. Now, good. I find it helpful to give it praise.
Yep. Because, you got a signal. You got a signal that it did well, so it does more like that.
Exactly. Now update the definitions for these, because that's what's listed, and it's done that. Okay, now what I did was I updated all those and did a new concat and said, here's the fully updated definitions list, check through for consistency and ensure internal linking. And
I think you're probably coming close to blowing your token cap in the thread, which means that your earlier concats will be getting chunked out or just completely truncated.
Yes, but because you notice I put in a new concat halfway through, so I agree there was a hell of a lot in the transcript, but it doesn't forget it all, but it does demote it. And you remember saying what I've been doing is giving it a command, summarize the discussion to this point, and that kind of pops it back to the top of the stack.
Okay, that's cool.
But it doesn't forget the rest. But it knows, okay, right, this is what we're talking about now. This is as far as I've got. I've not put in definitions likely to be needed. Most definitions already mesh with the updated ambient. This is what I sent you over. Okay, so what was your question?
Where does impact go?
Transcripts. Be specific. Sorry. Something like
what role does impact have to play on the attribution algorithm that was discussed?
Okay, to cook.
So, from listening to our conversation, also, I don't think it's captured anywhere, but the biggest takeaway for me was the notion that the publication and the application of the attribution algorithm are necessarily delayed.
No, don't understand that. Go over that again.
Yeah, so there was are you able to bring up the transcript?
Yes.
Can you search for the word epoch?
Give me 2 secs. It will be an ingest.
This is cool. The fact that we can even actually do this is pretty neat. Can you search, for the word epoch?
Epoch. There you go.
Okay, so so then where you're like, sorry for cutting you off there, but you're repeating yourself. Actually, the reason it sounded like, the reason I was repeating myself is because I was struggling to say what I'd seen. There's necessarily this publication that publishes the source almost of not that. Give a full explanation of the relationship between publication source and whatever is the name of the actual running instance, the application.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So
the reason this is a delicate but fundamental consequence, I suppose, in that you can't update the algorithm and run it at the same time.
Yes.
So it needs to be running, and it's going to be running sort of with its brain baked for a bit, for like a week or two, and then we can figure out how to make a new publication source, or even a new iteration of the application that draws in from all the instances around the world where it was run. And so it sort of breathes, like it cycles. It goes running, reconciliation, like pulls everything in and then generates the next version. And that's that causes this notion of pulses within the algorithm. It's not actually strictly continuous. It can't be continuous. It's got a pulse. It's got a heartbeat, like a cycle, which sounds a lot like blocks to me, or block difficulty, or block something, because it's an unavoidable rhythm that it has to go through. It doesn't just run in real time all the time. That's not possible to do.
Okay. As an aside, another topic, and then I want to answer your question. I'm finding it quite difficult versus VR because I can't give you visual signals. End aside.
And you're not dressed for the real world.
Exactly. The epoch, is it based on each instance? So each attribution algorithm, which generates, as we were saying, the dispersal event of revenue. Let's say if that's the value, gives 2 weeks, say, for people to disagree with it, and then locks it and updates based on that. So is it on one instance, or are we talking
no. Globally?
Right. So
you can't do the longitudinal weighting continuously. You can only do it periodically.
Isn't it the case, though, that it's a bit like NPM, where you're pulling down the latest?
Yeah, but you got to run with it for a time. So all the payments that come in in between versions are all running on the current latest version.
Okay, and it's up to you locally on one instance is what I mean by local, to be precise, or more precise, to decide on your own rules about when you reassess your own attribution based on what the globe is saying. A bit like when you update your package to the latest, and maybe you get a poor result, and so you want to stay on the previous version.
Yep, you could do that as well, but that's I'm not sure that it this difference is quite subtle. I'm not sure I know how to I need to think more about how to express it, but there's a pulse in there that's unavoidable.
Well, here's what the bot's saying. It's up on the screen now.
Yeah, looking at it.
I'll let you read that.
You cannot. Can you stop scrolling? Stop. Back. Okay. You cannot recalculate the attribution algorithm whilst at the same time applying the attribution algorithm. And so the point is that because we want to update the algorithm based on as many running runtimes as we can possibly observe, that number is so great. Very quickly, that number becomes so great that you can't both apply and update. So you need to do like this kind of huge churning ingestion periodically. It's sort of hard to do it continually, I suppose.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like whenever it runs, even though it runs instantaneously, it is always running not the frontier version because it can't.
Yes. Who sets the tempo?
I think it's as fast as we can manage to publish it, and it's going to have some economic bounds. Like it will be costly to do it too often. Like you could try and run it every 5 seconds, but your process wouldn't complete in time, and it would sort of like cost a lot of tokens all the time, and so you sort of need to you need to introduce techniques like sampling, because you might not be able to include all the data because it might just be too big. But the tempo is set by the publisher, and I think it's an economic constraint. It's basically how quickly is it economically feasible, and is it actually changing in a meaningful way each time you're doing these ingestion cycles.
Yes, and if I were a publisher and I was the one who had to deal with lots of people being grumpy because they didn't get paid as much as they thought they would, going back to an epoch is like a stake in the ground. Is right, okay, we're doing this.
Yeah, you were harshly treated by version 59.3.2 beta. Like,
right.
You know, like you need to be able to fix to a version or a hash of a thing and be like, this thing fucked me. Not, you know what I mean? Like you can't just be like the algorithm. It's like, well, yeah, which version?
Is it conceptually similar to a Linux long-term support distro as opposed to the Flamefront, which keeps on careering forward?
Sort of. I think something's been missed here. Like there's I think there's 3 levels. There's the publication source, which releases the base prompts and structure that are used to ingest all the data, which is then used to produce the algorithm. And so those three things need to be defined independently. Like, I don't think it's allowed to just publish the algorithm directly. I think you're only allowed to publish the source of how all the data available will be used to produce the algorithm. And then that algorithm is carries the methods that the publication source set for how to deal with disputes and other such things. And so now we've got these three entities at all times. There's the attribution algorithm version, which comes out quite frequently. There's the compiler, or the whatever you want to call it, the thing in the middle, the thing that generates the next version of the ambient attribution algorithm based on the live running data and the feedback. And then there's the publication source, which is the thing that sets the rules on how data will be ingested and how disputes will be handled.
Right.
But,
and
like, this thing's only picked up maybe 2.5 things. And that's why I was unclear in what I was saying yesterday. I saw these three pieces and I didn't know how to say it, but that's the structure that's there. And those three layers introduce a time delay, which can be used to advantage to make it more ceremonious, to make it more not more than just ceremonious, but more economical. Because if the system has rhythm, you don't have to be burning all the tokens all the time. You could actually choose to delay it, where you're like, it's sort of, we've been randomly sampling all the disputes and still, everything looks okay. So we don't need to cut a new release here.
So I got 2 points. I'll name both, and then we can talk about the first. And then if the second still stands, we can talk about that one.
Okay.
On this screen, I've got what the bot, the commander came up with a definition of attribution governance, which is one of the new ones. And if you can give that a quick look.
Which one? Where am I looking, sorry?
On my screen.
Attribution governance. Would it be possible to get rid of your terminal?
My terminal?
And then to show me the preview view of that for my delicate little eyes. No.
Never use preview. Where's preview?
Left again. That one. No, with the magnifying glass. That one. Yeah. And now drag that into the tab group so that it grab the tab. Yep. Hey.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't like the phrase attribution governance, because it sounds like it is authoritative, whereas it is really a publishing source, just like Linus is a publication source for the Linux kernel. There are others.
What would be a better name for it then? Publishing source we've already got. Attribution publishing source sounds like we're kind of
What is the name? What is the name for a thing that specifies how another thing will be built that will then produce a thing? Like, if you've got products and factories, what's the thing above a factory?
It's if you go into the architecture of factory, you would be talking about processes, architecture.
Maybe the bot can help us with it.
I know what you're getting at. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is it's not governance, because governance implies a governor, and
Yeah.
that's not the case here.
No, it's just it's an offering. Like it makes it's like we publish source code of how all the data will be processed.
What's the term used for npm when you decide, okay, I'm going to update my packages, and I'm not going to update
Publish.
them? So publication. So is attribution publication?
Yeah, but it's not the attribution algorithm. It's the thing that's going to crawl all the data and then produce the attribution algorithm.
Isn't it the and then attribution update process?
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. So maybe it's the algorithm publisher, and then that thing gets run on all the data. So that would be the training or the weighting, the ingestion phase of it, and then it would release this finished application that it would publish, and that's the ambient attribution algorithm.
Yes.
It's like we need a way to use some language to separate how AI model builders separate out the training data from the model that they deliver. And they, in the open source and open training data models, they give you both things. They give you the data set for training, and they give you the model that was produced and the algorithm that was used to produce the model from the training data.
What do they call each of those things? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know, but I know who might.
I'll ask O1 Pro later. See
Yeah.
what.
Okay, but I think we've skirted around that subject enough that the bot should be able to figure out from there what those things are, right? And so long as those are defined and the roles are clear, then it becomes simpler. Like we know what we're supposed to build, I think.
Yeah, good. We asked the bots at the start of this topic the question, give a full explanation of the relationship between publication source and running instance. Is there anything new in here? And tell me when to stop scrolling.
Okay, stop scrolling.
I'll stay quiet. You just say scroll, and I will.
I don't agree with what has come out there. What do I do about that?
Well, state what you don't agree with and why.
Publication sources, the algorithm publisher, 0.1, ownership of versions. Are we calling the thing that the publication source puts out as the attribution algorithm? And then the data it runs on is the contribution records and the disputes and the arguments and things. And then it outputs a what?
Pause. It seems like there's a publication source, which is the process we've just talked about. There is a thing called a publication. And that includes wrapping together the state at the point of publication, of which one of the outputs is an attribution algorithm.
I think the algorithm actually comes from the publication source, but then for it to be applied, it needs to ingest the longitudinal data so that it can be longitudinally weighted. But what is the name of the thing that comes out of that?
Well, what I just offered was a publication.
But what is the thing that was published that had the algorithm in it?
The publication has the algorithm in it, and
Okay. What if just for now we call it a compilation?
Yeah. Do you want publication to be changed to compilation throughout to make it consistent?
No, the fuck. I don't know, buddy. I don't have an answer for that now. But the things that I object to are not these naming issues. The main thing is things like the publication and opt-in. So the projects, you can't really opt into an attribution algorithm. You can only, strictly speaking, opt into the compilation that was produced by running that algorithm.
Yes,
So,
I agree, because the attribution algorithm is one of these. Remember, I was talking the other day about there are some files that you should never edit because it's just going to get wiped out next time round, next run. But there are some things that you can edit. So, and you can make choices around. So from the top, bear with me. There's a process which brings together various items, new evidence, longitudinally across globally, and so forth. There is an event, which is the running of the publication generation process, and that produces a publication, and that is the thing that you work with until you choose to go and rerun one up, which is, let's take in what the world and what new information you have, and then there's another even longer step process, which is to look at what we're talking about at the moment, which is the overall process, which should very rarely change, but may.
Okay. Can you scroll?
Sure. Tell me when to stop.
Just the next page. So stop at practically 0.2.2.
0.2.2.
Bringing it all together. Okay. Yeah. Look, it sounds okay. I don't think I know enough about it to say what's wrong. Like, I think I would need to start trying to make a simple version of it to understand more about these steps. But
I have an idea where I may know where you're going with this. I suggest that what I do is create a diagram.
okay.
Probably will make it more clear about what I think, and then we can do a sync.
Okay.
Sync up, and see if we're on the same page.
Okay. I can think of a way to do that as a sequence diagram as well. That's probably might be the clearest way to show it, but yeah, any kind of diagram at all, and we can just talk about it more.
So
It is
good by me. That's fine.
it's a confounding thing, and I'm glad that we're talking about it.
Yes, and I'm glad that we're actually getting into the nuts and bolts of it.
But where do you want me to finish reading this thread?
Just in case there's anything else that comes to mind, but no, we just got a summary, so up to you.
Yeah. Okay, so where does impact fit in all of this?
Well, that was part of what role does impact have. Now, what we didn't say is impact crystal.
Yeah, we don't really care about that. Impact crystal is just an expression or a compact representation of what impact is.
Yeah, there's the definition. This is what it thinks from all the definitions what impact is. So here.
How does impact relate to contribution?
Contribution is what people have done. Impact, pause. Impact is the outcome for what was done.
So actually, the term that we'd been using in our previous call, where we'd been saying attribution, what we really meant was impact, because impact is the effect that the contribution had relative to all the other contributions that caused the resultant impact that caused the payment to occur. And then attribution is really just simply paying out to the impact calculation. It's not,
Yes, I think
right?
you're right. Yes.
Yeah, that's where it belongs. So actually, we were talking only about impact, and really attribution is just a tiny thing. It's just like the payment dispersal is the attribution. Impact and attribution are the same, they seem the same thing. So how do we sort that one out?
Well, I think we've noticed that impact is an input into the attribution algorithm. And we haven't got a definition for impact.
Maybe impact is what the contribution as a whole did, and attribution is breaking down the impact to each contributor. That's like attribution is like apportioned impact, right? So like if you're on a project, your attribution is your proportion of the impact that the project had.
Yes, and I think we just got a new thing which we haven't properly defined, which is attribution. So if I were to, let me try and sync here. Impact is information about what actually happened. Contribution is who did what in order to make that thing happen. The attribution algorithm links up and portions that impact to contribution in order to give the dispersal event.
Sounds close enough, but I think we need a bit more work on reconciling all those pieces together because some pieces fell off a bit there.
Yes, I agree. There is a lot of areas there which probably have sub definitions. For example, what constitutes an impact?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm almost out of time. Just
Can I then just mention one further topic which I'd like to propose as a process for these conversations? What I'm seeing is a really fruitful rinse and repeat where we take a transcript, we run it through, we update the definitions, we get a thread open, then we look for where the holes are. Now we can ask the bot up to this point to look for those holes, and it does an okay job. But there are certain areas that it doesn't emphasize that are important to us.
yeah, no, I think that's a great cycle. It's a great cycle. Just keep looping, and that's how you get higher and higher precision. That's the same loop that I'm getting out of coding. You just got to keep looping, reading, nitpicking, going back, looping. It's just it's all the same iteration.
Good. Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
Cycle then.
So O1 Pro came back when I asked simply to relate attribution and impact, and it said that impact measures how much an action or initiative changes outcomes, e.g. revenue or engagement, while attribution identifies which channels, campaigns, or touch points cause that change. Essentially, attribution pinpoints the source of the impact, enabling data-driven optimization of the efforts that produce the greatest effect.
That sounds much better than we just talked through.
I know.
It's introduced.
Everything.
Yeah, the output is what's introduced, and it's clarified impact. Okay, good. Nice.
Alrighty. Well,
one final thing. I've introduced this folder topics. I'm not sure what to do with them at the moment, so I'm just doing a flattened list of files of the things that we've been talking about with a reference, with an idea that we can look back on them and ask the bot to look back on them. I'm not entirely sure whether it's the right thing to do, but I think this rinse and repeat cycle that we're doing at the moment is more productive. I'll continue to generate these topics, but just to let you know, that's what I'm doing. I'm just putting them into a bucket at the moment.
Sounds good, buddy. And I think we just keep looping until they're all crushed out and gone.
Yeah. There's also a concept I've been working on, which is a really hairy one. I'm only about 10% into it at the moment. And it was during one of the air breaks where I spent an hour of not botting, which was how to break topics apart and then recombine and effectively compile them into new topics and cross-reference them and get weight behind a certain topic that we keep skirting around. But as I say, 10% idea. I will come back with something more precise next time, but just let you know that's what's happening with topics.
Okay.
All right. You need to go. Well, I guess I close off this recording, assuming it's still running.
It says it's running on my side.
So it's just running on my side. Okay.
Probably it is.
Go away. Right, I'm going to end session for all. Sounds very final, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where do you want to jump back on? Let's get onto WhatsApp after I finish this, because you're not hearing me.
Sure.